Welcome back, America. We're here with the fantastic Peter Schweizer, who really broke this in 2018. But since then, the amount of information that comes out is absolutely overwhelming. Is there any justification of any kind, Peter Schweizer, for this Attorney General not to appoint a special counsel? The condition is conflict of interest or an appearance of a conflict of interest. We got predicates all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you have the statute for an independent counsel. It's the first family of the United States. The reason that one has not been appointed is if they're appointed, all hell is going to break loose. Let's remember what we're talking about here, Mark, in very specific ways. Just look at China. Based on the laptop, based on public corporate records, what we know is that Hunter Biden and the Biden family received $31 million from 4 businessmen in China. And when you look at those 4 businessmen in China, these are not ordinary businessmen. These are not even ordinary members of the Chinese Communist Party. Each and every one of them has ties to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. Che Feng, who arranged a $20 million deal for Hunter Biden, that private equity deal, his business partner at the same time he's setting up Hunter Biden was the vice minister for state security for China, whose job is to recruit foreign nationals to spy for China. Or look at Henry Zhao, who wires $5 million to Hunter Biden. He wires him the $5 million out of an account of a company called Harvest that Henry Zhao co-owns with the family of the former Minister of State Security who runs the entire spy apparatus in China. Or you look at Chairman Yi, the CEFC energy company, who sends $6 million to Hunter Biden. His previous job before he gets appointed to this energy position is running an organization that is widely known to be a front for Chinese military intelligence. This was an intelligence operation by the Chinese to extract information, to get their claws into the then second family, now first family of the United States. Nobody in Washington, D.C. wants to have that conversation, and Merrick Garland is not going to go there, even though this is the poster child for an independent counsel because of how the investigation's being stifled and who the investigation is actually about.
So they trash Robert Kennedy Jr. at a censorship hearing trying to silence the man and destroy him, to set an example to everybody. You dare challenge Biden, you dare challenge the Democrat Party, we're going to ruin you, whether you're a Kennedy or anybody else. FBI whistleblowers, IRS whistleblowers, having their careers destroyed because they have the guts to come forward, even though there's an act that's supposed to protect them. Well, they don't care about the act. They only care about one whistleblower who had ties to Obama and Biden and some phony story about Ukraine in which they used to try and take out Donald Trump. The Democrat Party doesn't care about anything you've said. They don't care about any of the information that's been presented. They're circling the wagons around Biden because Biden is carrying the radical Marxist agenda across the board in this country. And they will do anything and everything to protect him. They don't care. They don't care if he has an IQ of an orange juice can. It doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is their agenda. Your final thoughts.
You're right. I mean, Joe Biden is essentially an empty vessel. They get to fill it up. And look, why is the deep state at DOJ and the FBI so beholden to Joe Biden? He was for years, for decades, the chairman or a powerful member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, where so much judicial policy, funding of DOJ, and other issues were settled. He did big favors for them, and now they're returning the favor by covering it up. This is the definition of the deep state, and I think that the Republicans in the House need to continue to do what they're going to do, and the truth is coming out.
Peter Schweizer, thank you for opening our eyes long ago to this, and what we see now is just unbelievable, unimaginable.